So thinking about picking up the love hypothesis, but not quite sure it's worth all the hype.
Yeah, it's one of those books that seems to be getting a lot of buzz.
I mean, we see that a lot with romance novels. They can be a little hit or miss, right?
Definitely.
But we've done a little digging, looked at a ton of opinions, and wow, this one is really sparking some strong feelings.
Oh, it's gotten people talking, that's for sure.
Some people are absolutely loving it.
Yeah, raving about it, saying it's the best thing they've read in ages.
Staying up all night to finish it.
And then immediately starting it over again for a second read.
But then there are others who are
not so impressed.
So before we get into all that, let's give everyone a quick rundown of what this book is actually about.
Okay, so picture this. You have Olive Smith. She's a Ph.D. student.
Okay.
And she ends up pretending to date Adam Carlsen, who happens to be a very famous professor in her field.
Oh, so we're in academia.
I like it. Yes, very much so. And here's the kicker. Adam is described as this grumpy, intimidating professor.
Oh, I love it.
Almost like a Mr. Darcy in a lab coat.
Okay, so we've got fake dating. We've got a grumpy professor. I'm already intrigued.
It's a classic setup.
But why the charade in the first place?
Well, Olive finds herself in a bit of a predicament.
Oh.
And a fake relationship just seems like the easiest way out at the time.
And naturally, things get a little complicated.
Of course, sparks start to fly between Olive and this brooding Professor Carlsen.
All right, so fake dating, a grumpy but probably super attractive professor, all set against the backdrop of academia.
Exactly.
What are people saying about it?
Well, let's start with the good stuff, because there is a lot of it.
Okay.
Adam Carlsen, he is a huge hit with readers.
Really?
Over 80% of the reviews we saw just raved about him.
Wow.
Describing him as intelligent, brooding, and mysterious.
So basically catnip for romance readers.
Pretty much. He seems to have that classic hero appeal.
Yeah, I can see why people are drawn to him, but is there more to it than just a handsome, grumpy face?
I think so. You know what's fascinating is that the author seems to tap into something deeper with Adam's character.
Oh, like what?
Well, the grumpy hero trope, it's incredibly popular, and maybe it's because it plays on this fantasy of being the one to break down someone's walls, to see their hidden vulnerability.
Oh, I like that it's like a challenge, a puzzle to solve.
Right.
But what about the chemistry between Adam and Olive? Does the romance actually deliver?
From what we've gathered, it absolutely does.
Really?
Reviewers consistently highlighted the sizzling chemistry and the witty banter between them.
Okay, I'll see.
One reviewer even said they had to put the book down several times because their heart was racing too fast.
Wow. Okay, so we got a heart-fluttering romance.
Yeah.
A captivating hero, but you mentioned some people weren't so thrilled.
Right.
What were the main criticisms?
Well, while Adam was overwhelmingly praised, Olive's character received a much more mixed response.
Interesting.
About 30% of the reviews we saw found her annoying or frustrating. It seems like the common thread was that she wasn't assertive enough.
Oh, so she lets people walk all over her.
That's the sense we got.
I can see how that might be frustrating for some readers.
Especially those who prefer their heroines to be a bit more take charge.
Right.
So, yeah, not everyone was on board with Olive's character.
So we got a grumpy hero, a potentially frustrating heroine, but sizzling chemistry.
Yes.
And you mentioned it all takes place in academia, specifically STEM. How did that play out?
This is where things get really interesting.
Right.
Many reviewers, particularly women in STEM, praised the book's portrayal of the academic world.
Oh, that's great to hear.
They appreciated the realistic depiction of lab life, the challenges and triumphs of research, and the camaraderie between colleagues.
It's always refreshing to see positive representation of women in STEM, especially in a genre that's often dominated by more traditional settings.
Absolutely. And a lot of readers felt that the STEM setting added a unique and engaging layer to the story.
So it becomes more than just a typical romance.
Right. It brings something different to the table.
Okay, so we have a grumpy hero, a potentially frustrating heroine sizzling chemistry, and a realistic STEM setting. What else stood out in the reviews?
Well, one thing that popped up a lot was how easy and enjoyable the book was to read.
A real page-turner.
Exactly. Many reviewers admitted to staying up all night to finish it.
Sounds like the perfect escape from reality.
That seems to be the general consensus. A light, fun, easy read with a dash of academia.
But there were some criticisms, right?
Yes. There was one more that came up quite a bit, and that was the third act conflict.
Every romance reader knows about those dreaded third act conflicts. What was the issue here?
Many reviewers felt that the conflict introduced towards the end of the book felt forced and unnecessary.
Like it was added just to create drama.
Exactly. It seemed like the author threw in a curveball that didn't sit well with a lot of readers.
Okay, so we've got a mixed bag here. Steamy romance, a captivating grumpy hero, a potentially frustrating heroine, a realistic portrayal of STEM, and a divisive third act conflict.
That's a lot to unpack.
It is. So what's the verdict so far? Is the love hypothesis worth adding to your reading list?
Well, it really depends on what you're looking for in a book.
Right.
If you want a fun, quick read with a swoon-worthy hero and a unique setting, you'll likely enjoy it.
But if you're looking for a deeply complex and nuanced romance,
This might not be the one for you.
so it seems like the love hypothesis is best enjoyed as a lighthearted escape, perfect for when you need a break from reality.
That's a good way to put it.
What do you think?
I'd agree with that, but it's important to note that there's more to unpack here.
Okay, I'm all ears. Let's dig a little deeper.
You know, it's funny how many reviewers were willing to overlook some of Adam's less than ideal qualities.
He's because he's attractive.
Pretty much they were like, yeah, he's grumpy, but he's hot, so I'll allow it.
It's like that saying, love is blind, taken to a whole new level.
Right.
But I think it speaks to the power of a well-crafted character.
Oh, definitely.
The author created a hero that people just couldn't resist, even if he wasn't always Prince Charming.
It really makes you think about the appeal of the grumpy hero trope.
Why is it so popular?
Yeah, is it the challenge of cracking that tough exterior? The allure of their hidden depths?
Or maybe we just love a good redemption arc.
Could be all of the above.
Speaking of characters, we should talk about Olive.
Oh, yes.
We mentioned earlier that some readers found her frustrating.
Right.
Can we unpack that a bit more?
Sure, the criticisms seem to center around her lack of assertiveness. Some readers felt like she let people take advantage of her.
And they wish she'd stand up for herself more.
Exactly.
I can see that it can be frustrating to watch a character, especially a smart and capable one like Olive, constantly get steamrolled.
Right.
Does that tie into the criticism of the fake dating trope?
It definitely seems to.
How so?
Well, some reviewers felt that if Olive had been more direct, more assertive, the whole fake relationship wouldn't have dragged on as long.
So they felt like the plot device was a bit too convenient.
Yeah, maybe even a little lazy.
It makes you wonder if some of the frustration with Olive comes from a desire for more agency in female characters.
Especially in romance novels.
Right. Readers are getting more discerning,
They want to see women who are strong, independent, and capable.
making their own choices.
Absolutely.
It's a good reminder that tropes and conventions can be tricky.
They can.
What works for one reader might feel completely stale and frustrating to another.
Absolutely.
It just highlights the importance of diverse voices and perspectives within the genre.
Definitely.
Okay, let's talk about something that seemed to be a universal hit the books, easy readability.
Oh, yeah.
So many people mentioned staying up all night to finish it.
It's a page-turner, for sure.
It speaks to the author's engaging writing style.
Absolutely. She knows how to craft a story that keeps you hooked.
It's that perfect blend of humor, witty banter, and just enough tension.
To keep you on the edge of your seat.
It's like the literary equivalent of binge-watching a TV show.
You just get sucked in and can't stop.
And that escapist quality is a big part of what makes romance novels so appealing.
They offer a temporary refuge from the stress and complexities of everyday life.
Speaking of escapism, let's circle back to those Spanish language reviews you mentioned earlier.
Oh, right.
It's interesting to think about how the book is being received by readers from different cultures.
It really makes you wonder if there are any cultural nuances or interpretations that might be lost in translation.
Like what?
For example, does the grumpy hero trope hold the same appeal in other cultures? Or is it a uniquely Western fascination?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It'd be fascinating to explore those perspectives and see how cultural context influences our interpretation of characters and storylines.
Maybe we can do a follow-up episode where we delve into those cross-cultural interpretations.
I love that idea.
It would be a fascinating look into the global world of romance novels.
But for now, let's get back to the love hypothesis and address that final point of contention.
The infamous third act conflict.
What was it about this particular conflict that rubbed readers the wrong way?
It seems to come down to a sense of artificiality.
Okay.
Many reviewers felt that the conflict felt forced and unnecessary.
Like it was just shoehorned in to create drama and prolong the happy ending.
Exactly. And it seems to have disrupted the flow and emotional arc of the story for a lot of readers.
So it kind of took away from the otherwise enjoyable buildup of the romance.
It seems that way.
So the third act conflict was a miss for many, but overall is the love hypothesis worth the hype?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Is it a must-read for romance enthusiasts?
Well, let's recap what we've learned.
All right, break it down for us.
Okay.
So we've got this charming but grumpy hero who everyone seems to love.
He's definitely a fan favorite.
A heroine who might leave you wanting a little more.
It happens.
A surprisingly realistic look at the world of STEM.
Which is always a plus.
And a third act conflict that just didn't quite land for a lot of readers.
Yeah, it seems like that was a bit of a misstep.
So the big question is, should you read it?
Well, if you're looking for a light and fun, read something that will just sweep you away for a few hours.
Little escape.
Exactly. Then The Love Hypothesis might be right up your alley, especially if you enjoy those grumpy heroes.
And a bit of academic intrigue.
It's a quick read. It's fun. There are some genuinely sweet moments, and of course, plenty of steamy romance.
And who knows, you might even learn a thing or two about STEM along the way.
You never know.
But if you're looking for something really deep and complex,
A romance with a super strong and independent heroine.
this might not be the one for you.
The plot is a little predictable, and that third act conflict might leave you feeling a bit underwhelmed.
So it really comes down to personal preference.
It always does.
What one reader loves, another might hate. That's the beauty of books.
There's truly something out there for everyone.
And hey, you might be the one person who absolutely adores all of.
And thinks the third act conflict is pure genius.
So how can you know unless you give it a shot?
Exactly. You can always put it down if it's not for you.
And if you want to try it out before committing to buying the whole book, you could always try the audiobook.
Actually, we have a special offer for our listeners today.
Oh, you tell.
If you use the link in the description, you can sign up for a free 30-day trial of Audible.
Okay.
And get a free audiobook of your choice.
So you could be listening to The Love Hypothesis in no time.
That's right.
Now we want to hear from you. Have you read The Love Hypothesis?
Did you love it? Did you hate it?
Let us know in the comments below. We're dying to hear your thoughts.
And if you enjoyed this little breakdown of The Love Hypothesis, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel.
We're always diving into new books, trying to uncover those hidden gems.
So hit that subscribe button and join us on our next literary adventure.
Until next time, happy reading.